I was standing at the back of a bright wedding hall, trying to stay quiet, when I saw my ex-wife walk down the aisle in a white dress. Everyone clapped. Everyone smiled. Then I looked at the man waiting for her at the front, and my stomach turned cold. I knew that face. I knew that smile. I knew exactly who he was. And before I could stop myself, I started laughing, right there in the middle of her perfect moment. People turned to stare at me like I was crazy. My ex-wife's eyes snapped toward me, full of anger and shock. Recognizing him was one thing, but laughing was another. Why did I laugh instead of warning her, and what did I know that could destroy everything she was so proud of? Before we continue, please comment where you are watching from and subscribe so you can hear more stories like this. A week ago, we were still husband and wife on paper. Now she was marrying another man like I never mattered. Her name is Nadia. My name is Daniel. Our divorce was fast. Too fast. It felt like a door slammed so hard the whole house shook. She pushed for it, not me. She said I was holding her back. She said I was too careful. She said she was tired of small living, tired of planning, tired of waiting. But what she really meant was this: she wanted freedom, and she wanted it now. The worst part was how she told people the story. To her friends, I was the cold husband. To her family, I was the stingy man. To everyone online, she was the brave woman who escaped a boring life. And I stayed quiet. I did not fight in public. I did not post long messages. I did not beg her to stay. I only did two things. First, I kept every message she sent me. Every text. Every email. Every voice note. Second, I kept my eyes open. That is why I was at the wedding hall today. Not because I wanted her back. Not because I wanted to cry. Because something about this new marriage did not feel normal. A week after divorce is not a lot of time to heal. It is not a lot of time to think. It is not a lot of time to be sure. It felt like she had already planned this before our marriage even ended. I told myself I was overthinking. I told myself to focus on my own life. Then I saw the invitation online. It popped up on a mutual friend's page. Nadia and Marcus. A new beginning. Marcus. I read the name twice. My chest got tight. Because I knew a Marcus. Not many people knew him well, because he did not stay in places long. He was the kind of man who arrived with a bright smile, big stories, and expensive clothes. He made people feel lucky just for meeting him. Then, when questions started, he disappeared. I took a deep breath and decided to confirm with my own eyes. That is why I came. I did not sit near the front. I did not want to be noticed. I stood at the back, close to the door, like someone who might leave at any second. Then I saw him. Same sharp jaw. Same little scar near the eyebrow. Same confident look like he owned the room. And all the memories rushed back at once. I had met Marcus 3 years ago at my old job. I worked in an office that handled contracts, payments, and business deals. We had a clear rule: everything must be honest, everything must be written down, and every detail must match. Marcus came in as a consultant. That is what he called himself. He told everyone he had done big work with big companies. He spoke like someone important. People believed him because he spoke smoothly. But I had seen his file. I had seen the problems. I had seen his lies. That is why I laughed. Because I could already see what was coming. I could already see Nadia's proud smile turning into fear. And I could already see Marcus smiling like nothing could touch him. Nadia reached the front of the hall. She took Marcus's hands. The pastor began to speak. I tried to calm myself. I told myself, Daniel, stay quiet. Just watch. Do not cause trouble. But then Marcus looked out into the crowd, and his eyes landed on me. His smile froze for half a second. Only half a second, but it was enough. He recognized me too. That is when my laughter stopped. Because in that tiny moment, I understood something important. If Marcus remembered me, then he also remembered what I knew. And if he was marrying Nadia, then he had a reason. A reason bigger than love. The pastor asked if anyone had any reason the marriage should not happen. Silence filled the room. My heart started to pound. Marcus's fingers tightened around Nadia's hands. Nadia did not notice. But I noticed. I noticed because I had seen that look before. That look was not love. It was control. And as Marcus stared at me from the altar, I felt it like a warning in my bones. He was not just marrying my ex-wife. He was stepping into my old life on purpose. The pastor repeated the question, slower this time. Is there anyone who knows a reason this marriage should not happen? I swallowed hard. Because the truth was, I knew many reasons. And the moment I opened my mouth, everything would change. But if I stayed quiet, Nadia might walk into something dangerous. So I asked myself one question that burned like fire in my chest. Do I protect the woman who hurt me, or do I protect myself from the storm I know is coming? And before I could decide, Marcus's eyes narrowed and his smile returned, sharp and confident, like he had already planned for this. Then he mouthed two silent words at me, so only I could see. Stay quiet. And my blood ran cold, because I knew that was not a request. It was a threat. I left the wedding hall before the pastor finished speaking, because my legs felt weak and my mind felt loud. Outside, the air was hot, and cars were honking, and people were laughing, but none of it felt real. All I could think about was Marcus's mouth forming those words. Stay quiet. I sat in my car and stared at my hands on the steering wheel. I tried to slow my breathing like my doctor once taught me. In, out, but the truth kept hitting me again and again. My ex-wife had married the one man I never wanted near my life again. And now he knew I had seen him. I drove home slowly. I did not want to rush. Rushing makes mistakes. Mistakes are how people lose. When I got home, my apartment felt too quiet. The walls felt too close. I made tea and sat at the small table near the window. I stared at my phone. I expected Nadia to call me. She did not. Then my phone buzzed. One message. Unknown number. Daniel, we need to talk. Do not pretend you do not know me. My stomach dropped. It was Marcus. I did not reply right away. I took a screenshot. I saved it. Then I put my phone down and thought carefully. Marcus was the kind of man who used pressure. He pushed people to react fast. That is how he stayed in control. If I pulled back and stayed calm, I would take away his power. So I waited. An hour later, another message came. If you speak, you will regret it. I took another screenshot. Then a third message. You still have that habit of collecting proof. It will not save you this time. I felt my hands shake, but I kept my face still. So he remembered. He remembered me, and he remembered what I did at my old job. At my old job, I was not the loud guy. I was not the popular guy. I was the careful guy. I checked details. I kept records. I wrote explained notes. When something felt wrong, I did not argue. I simply gathered facts. That is how we discovered Marcus the first time. He had claimed he had degrees he did not have. He had claimed he had worked in places that had never heard of him. He had tried to convince our company to send large payments to partners that were really just his own hidden accounts. When an audit started, his stories broke apart. But our boss did not want a scandal. The boss wanted peace. So Marcus was not arrested. He was not publicly exposed. He was quietly removed, and he signed papers promising to never return. Giving him a quiet exit was supposed to be the safe choice. But quiet exits create quiet monsters. They learn how to hide better. Now Marcus was back, wearing a wedding suit, holding my ex-wife's hands. I needed to understand why. So I did the only smart thing. I went back to the beginning. I opened my folder on my laptop. Inside were messages from Nadia during our marriage. I did not keep them to hurt her. I kept them because she changed her words too often. One day she loved me, the next day she hated me, and she always acted like her last sentence was the only truth. I searched for one phrase. New life. Many results popped up. I clicked a message from 3 months before our divorce. Nadia had written, I met someone who thinks bigger than you. At the time, I thought she was only trying to make me jealous. Now I understood she was telling the truth. I found another message. He says he can help us grow. He says you are too slow. Then another. He says you do not understand opportunity. My throat went dry. So Marcus had been around before the divorce ended. That explained the speed. That explained the confidence. That explained why she looked like she was winning. But it still did not explain the most important thing. Why would Marcus choose Nadia? He liked money. He liked access. He liked connections. He liked people he could use. Nadia had a small job. She had friends, yes, but nothing big. Then I remembered something. Nadia had not married money. But she had been married to me. And I had something Marcus wanted. Not my heart, my name, my clean record, my steady bank account, my quiet reputation. It was a terrible thought, but it fit perfectly. If Marcus was planning something, the best cover was a new happy marriage. And if Nadia believed he was her upgrade, she would defend him. I leaned back in my chair and stared at the ceiling. I could ignore this and move on. Or I could prepare, because the storm was coming toward me too. That night, I slept badly. Every small sound made me open my eyes. I kept thinking about how Marcus looked at me, and how his smile turned sharp. The next morning, I went to work and tried to act normal. Around lunchtime, I got a call from my bank. "Good afternoon," the woman said politely. "We noticed some unusual activity. We need to confirm if you approved a request to add a secondary signer to your account." My mouth went cold. "No," I said. "I did not approve anything." She paused. "The request came with documents and a signature." "A signature?" I repeated. "Yes," she said. "It appears to be yours." My stomach dropped again. Because I knew one thing for sure. I did not sign anything. I thanked her and told her to freeze everything. When the call ended, I stood up from my chair at work and felt dizzy. Someone had tried to use my name. Someone had tried to copy my signature. And only 2 people in the world had easy access to my old documents. My ex-wife. And the man she just married. I walked outside and stared at the busy street, trying to think clearly. This was no longer just a bad love story. This was a plan to steal, a plan to trap, a plan to make me look guilty for something I did not do. I had proof of Marcus's past. I had messages from Nadia. I had the bank warning. But I still needed one thing. I needed to know how far they had gone. So I drove straight to my old office building. Not to cause trouble, to ask one question. When I arrived, my former coworker, Mr. Collins, stared at me like he had seen a ghost. He pulled me into a quiet corner and whispered, "Daniel, you need to leave. Right now." I blinked. "Why?" His face was pale. His voice shook. "Because Marcus has been asking about you. And he did not come alone. He came with your ex-wife. And they are telling people you were the one who helped him before." I felt my heart slam against my ribs. They were not only trying to steal from me. They were trying to rewrite the past and blame me. And as Mr. Collins spoke, he gripped my arm and said the words that turned my fear into full alarm. "They filed a complaint. Daniel, they are trying to set you up." I drove home so fast my hands hurt from gripping the steering wheel. My mind kept replaying Mr. Collins' words. "They filed a complaint. They are trying to set you up." I locked my apartment door, then checked it twice. I closed the curtains. I sat at my table and opened my laptop again. My tea from yesterday was still there, cold and forgotten. I did not need tea now. I needed a plan. I said it out loud, softly, like it would help me focus. Stay calm. Get proof. Move smart. First, I wrote down what I knew, in simple points. Marcus used to work near me and was removed for fraud. Nadia met him before our divorce ended. They married right after the divorce. Someone tried to add a signer to my bank account using a fake signature. Marcus was asking about me and trying to blame me. They had filed a complaint, probably to make me look guilty. Then I asked the next question. Why would they do all this? The answer was clear, even if it hurt. Because if Marcus got caught again, he needed a shield. And Nadia was the perfect shield. She would cry. She would say she was tricked. She would say she trusted him. And if they could pull me into it, then Marcus could say, Daniel planned it. Daniel helped me. Daniel is the bad one. That is how bad people survive. They drag someone else into the mud. I remembered something my father used to say. If you do not tell your story with proof, someone else will tell a lie and call it the truth. I had to tell the story first. But I had to do it the right way. Not online, not with shouting, with facts. I called the bank again and asked for the details of the request. I asked for timestamps. I asked for the email address it came from. I asked for any phone number attached. Then I called a lawyer. A calm, serious man named Mr. Adimi. I told him the whole situation from start to finish, slowly, clearly, using simple words. I sent him screenshots. I sent him the bank's email. I told him about Marcus's history. Mr. Adimi listened without interrupting. When I finished, he said, Daniel, you are doing the right thing by documenting. But you must act quickly. If they file official papers against you first, it creates confusion. Confusion helps scammers. What do? I asked. We report what happened to the bank's fraud unit in writing, he said. We also send a formal notice to your ex-wife that she must not use your name, documents, or signature for anything. Then we prepare to respond to any complaint. I nodded even though he could not see me. After the call, I felt a small bit of relief. Not because the danger was gone. Because I was no longer alone. That evening, my phone rang again. Unknown number. I let it ring. Then a message came. A photo. It was a picture of my old marriage certificate, taken on a table, like someone had laid it out on purpose. Under it was one line. You still belong to her in the system. My skin went cold. That was Marcus's style. He loved to sound powerful. He loved to make people feel trapped. But the photo told me something important. They had my old documents. Which meant Nadia had given him access, or he had taken it, or both. And if he had the marriage certificate, he could try to use it to claim rights, to confuse banks, to confuse offices, to confuse people. I took a screenshot and sent it to my lawyer. Then, for the first time in weeks, I considered calling Nadia. Not to beg, not to fight, to warn her. But I stopped myself. Because warnings only work when someone wants to hear them. Nadia did not want truth. She wanted to feel like she won. So I chose a different route. I called Nadia's older brother, Sam. Sam had never hated me. He was one of the few people in her family who was fair. He did not talk much, but when he did, he spoke straight. When he answered, I said, Sam, I need you to listen carefully. Nadia is in danger. And I might be in danger too. He sighed. Daniel, I do not want to be in the middle. I understand, I said. But this is not about feelings. It is about documents and fraud. Her new husband is not who she thinks he is. Sam was quiet for a moment. Then he said, what are you talking about? I told him everything. I explained Marcus's past in simple words. I explained the bank request. I explained the threats. Sam did not speak for a long time. Finally, he said, Nadia said you are jealous. I am not jealous, I said. I am scared, Sam. Not of her marriage. Of what Marcus is doing. He is trying to use my name. If he can use my name, he can use hers too. Sam's voice changed. It became more serious. Send me proof, he said. I sent him screenshots. I sent him the bank notice. I sent him Marcus's messages. Sam replied after a few minutes. This is bad, he wrote. I will talk to her. That night, I barely slept again. In the morning, my lawyer called me early. Daniel, he said, they filed an official complaint. They are accusing you of working with Marcus to hide money during your divorce. I felt my chest tighten. That is a lie. I know, he said. But listen, the complaint includes a document with your signature. My breath caught. They forged it, I said. Yes, he said. And we will prove that. But there is more. The complaint says the money was moved into an account in your name, then moved again. I stood up, dizzy. Into my name. I repeated. That means they opened something using me. That is what it looks like, he said. We need to move fast. You must come to my office now. I grabbed my keys and rushed out, heart pounding. When I arrived at my lawyer's office, he handed me a printed paper. He pointed to a line and said, look at this. I looked. It was an account number. Not my main account. A new one. Opened recently. Using my identity. Using my name. I felt sick. Then Mr. Adimi lowered his voice and said the next sentence like it was a warning bell. Daniel, if we do not stop this today, you could be arrested for a crime you did not commit. I sat in my lawyer's office and stared at that paper until the letters blurred. A new account. In my name. Opened recently. Used to move money. Used in a complaint against me. This was the trap. This was the reason Marcus had looked at me and threatened me at the wedding. He did not just want to marry Nadia. He wanted to bury me. My lawyer spoke calmly, like he was guiding me through a storm. Daniel, listen closely, he said. We will fight this with proof. But we must control the story with documents, not emotions. I nodded, swallowing hard. What do we do first? First, we report identity theft, he said. Second, we request official records from the bank. Third, we request signature. Verification. Fourth, we respond to the complaint with evidence and a timeline. He paused. And we need to show motive. Motive? I asked. Yes, he said. Why would they do this? What did they gain? I took a deep breath. Money. And cover. If Marcus is caught, he wants someone else to blame. He wants to blame me. My lawyer nodded. Exactly. We worked for hours. He wrote letters. I signed statements. We attached screenshots. We printed phone records. We organized everything by date. We built a wall of facts. Then, in the late afternoon, my phone buzzed. It was Sam. He wrote, I spoke to Nadia. She says you are lying. She says Marcus already explained everything. She says you are trying to ruin her life. I stared at the message for a long time. Then Sam sent another text. But Daniel, she looked nervous. And Marcus would not let her speak alone. That line hit me hard. Marcus would not let her speak alone. That was control. That was not love. It also told me something else. Nadia might not be the main villain here. She might be a helper, yes, but also a person being used. Still, I could not forget what she had done to me during the divorce. How she rushed. How she lied about me. How she tried to make me look like the bad one to everyone. Even if she was being used now, she had also used me before. So my feelings were mixed. But in this moment, feelings did not matter. Proof mattered. My lawyer said, Daniel, we should also request records from your former workplace. Marcus has a history. If we can show his pattern, it strengthens your case. That night, I went back to my old workplace with my lawyer's formal request. Mr. Collins met us at the door and led us to a small room. He looked tired. I never wanted to see that man again, he said. We need the file, my lawyer said gently. The one about Marcus. Mr. Collins nodded. I can provide it, but I need authorization. He made calls. He filled forms. He printed papers. When he finally placed the file on the table, my stomach tightened. There it was in black and white. Marcus had been investigated. Marcus had provided false credentials. Marcus had attempted unauthorized payments. Marcus had been removed quietly to avoid public scandal. My lawyer looked at me. This helps, he said. Then Mr. Collins leaned in and whispered, there is something else. What? I asked. He swallowed. Marcus came here a week ago. He asked for your old records. He said he needed them for a legal matter. He brought Nadia with him. My hands curled into fists. Did you give him anything? No, Mr. Collins said quickly. But he was angry. He said he would get them another way. My lawyer's face became hard. This shows intent, he said. It shows he is targeting Daniel. We left with copies, stamped and signed. On the way home, my phone rang. This time, it was Nadia. I stared at her name on the screen. My heart thumped. I answered carefully. Hello. Her voice sounded shaky, but also proud, like she was trying to stay strong. Daniel, she said, why are you doing this? Doing what? I asked. Trying to destroy my marriage, she snapped, then her voice dropped. Marcus says you are obsessed with me. I took a slow breath. Nadia, listen to me. This is not about love. This is about money and fraud. She laughed, but it sounded forced. You are just angry I moved on. Nadia, I said, keeping my voice simple and steady, someone tried to forge my signature. A new account was opened in my name. A complaint was filed blaming me for money that moved through that account. There was silence. Then she whispered, that is not possible. It is possible, I said. And it is happening. Her breathing changed, like fear was creeping in. Then her voice became sharp again. Marcus says you are lying. He says you always twist things. I closed my eyes. This was the pattern. She wanted to believe him because believing him made her feel safe. So I said the most direct thing I could. Nadia, Marcus is the man who was removed from my old job for fraud. He faked credentials. He tried to move money into hidden accounts. That is who you married. She went quiet. Then she said something small, almost like a child. He said his past is just jealous enemies. I answered softly. I am not your enemy. But your pride is making you blind. And Marcus is using it. For a long moment, she did not speak. Then I heard a voice in the background. A man's voice. Marcus. He sounded close, too close. Who are you talking to? He asked her. Nadia's voice jumped. No one. It is nothing. My blood ran cold, because it confirmed Sam's message. Marcus was always there, always listening. Then Nadia said quickly into the phone, "I have to go." Before she hung up, I heard Marcus say, "Low and dangerous, give me the phone." The call ended. I stared at my screen. My lawyer had told me scammers use fear and control. Now I heard it myself. I sent a message to Sam immediately. "Marcus is listening to her calls. She is not safe." Sam replied, "What do we do?" I looked at my folder of proof. I looked at the official complaint. I looked at the forged signature case. And I knew the next step had to be stronger. Not private warnings. Not quiet paperwork. A direct legal strike that Marcus could not laugh away. Because if Marcus had gotten this far, he would not stop on his own. And if he felt cornered, he would do something desperate. Then my phone buzzed again. A message from Marcus. It was one sentence. "I told you to stay quiet. Now watch what happens next." And right after that message, my bank app sent a notification. A large transfer attempt. From the fake account. To a destination I did not recognize. And the transfer was marked urgent, like someone was trying to move money before the doors closed. I felt my throat tighten as I realized the truth. Marcus was making his final move. Tonight. The moment I saw that urgent transfer attempt, I did not panic. I did not shout. I did not run outside. I did not call Marcus to threaten him back. I did what I had been doing from the start. I acted with proof. I called my lawyer first. He answered quickly, like he was waiting for this. "Daniel," he said, "tell me what happened." I explained the notification. I explained the timing. I read him the destination details. My lawyer said, "Good. Screenshot everything. Do not touch the account yourself. We will call the bank's fraud unit together, and we will submit it as evidence of an active attempt." We called the bank. The bank confirmed something very important. The transfer attempt was made from the new account that was opened in my name, but it did not come from my device and did not come from my normal banking patterns. That was the bank's way of saying, "This looks like fraud." They stopped the transfer immediately. Then they gave us the next key piece. The transfer was being attempted from a login location that was different from my home, my work, and all my normal places. Again, that was proof. We requested written confirmation and time stamps. The bank agreed. Now we had a strong chain. A fake request to add a signer to my main account. A new account opened using my identity. Money moved through that account. A complaint filed blaming me. An urgent transfer attempt blocked by the bank, with location and time stamps that did not match me. This was no longer my word against theirs. This was facts against fraud. My lawyer then made the next move. He filed an official report for identity theft and fraud, with the bank's written confirmation attached. He also submitted the old workplace file showing Marcus's history of the same behavior. That is what made everything turn. Because Marcus's whole plan depended on one thing. Confusion. He wanted people to think, maybe Daniel did it. Maybe Marcus did it. Maybe Nadia did it. Who knows? But when evidence stacks up in a clear order, confusion dies. The next morning, my lawyer called me. "Daniel," he said, "the authorities have opened an investigation. The bank is cooperating, and the complaint against you is weakening." I exhaled, but I did not relax yet. Marcus was not the type to accept defeat quietly. That afternoon, Sam called me. His voice was tense. "Daniel, it is happening. Nadia is finally seeing it." "What happened?" I asked. Sam took a breath. Nadia went to the bank to ask why some of her new, joint accounts, were frozen. They told her there were fraud flags connected to Marcus's identity and her new marriage paperwork. I closed my eyes. That was the part people do not think about. When you marry someone, you share more than a home. You share risk. Sam continued. When she got home, she confronted Marcus. He got angry. He yelled. He blamed her. He said she was stupid for asking questions. I felt a heavy sadness in my chest. Not because I missed Nadia, but because I could picture her face. The same face that once looked at me like I was not enough. Now she was learning a painful truth. A smooth talker can feel like a hero at first. Until you ask for truth. Then the hero becomes a bully. Sam said, "She called me crying. She said she found documents in his bag. Copies of your signature. Copies of your old ID information. She did not even know he had them. That was the missing link. The connection between them, clearly explained. Marcus married Nadia because she gave him a way into my documents and my identity. Even if she did not mean to help him at first, she created access by letting him close. And Marcus used that access to open accounts and move money while trying to blame me. That was the whole betrayal. Nadia's betrayal happened in two parts. First, she betrayed me emotionally by starting something with Marcus before our divorce ended and by painting me as the villain. Second, she betrayed common sense by trusting a man who pushed her to rush everything, and by letting him into places he should never enter, like personal files and legal papers. Now the consequences were here. Sam said. Marcus ran. He packed and left in the night. Did Nadia report what she found? I asked. Yes, Sam said. I took her to my lawyer friend. She gave the documents and explained everything. That mattered, because it showed she was no longer protecting Marcus. It also showed she understood she had been used. A week later, the investigation results began to come in. The bank confirmed the fake account was opened using stolen identity details. Signature experts compared my real signatures with the forged ones and reported clear differences. My old workplace provided a statement confirming Marcus's past fraud attempt and his removal. The complaint against me was formally challenged with evidence, and it fell apart. The most important part was this. Marcus had a pattern. He used charm to enter someone's life. He used access to take documents. He used speed and pressure to stop people from thinking. He used fear to keep them quiet. And when he was close to being exposed, he tried to blame someone else. This time, he tried to blame me. But I had records. I had time stamps. I had screenshots. I had a lawyer who understood that calm proof beats loud anger. In the end, Marcus was arrested for fraud and identity theft based on financial evidence and document proof. Nadia was not arrested, but she faced serious consequences. Her name was now connected to a fraud case. People who once clapped at her wedding now whispered. She lost friends. She lost trust. She lost peace. A month after Marcus was taken into custody, Nadia asked Sam if she could talk to me. Sam called and asked, "Do you want to speak to her?" I thought about it. Then I said, yes. But only once. We met in a quiet public place. Nadia looked smaller than I remembered. Not physically, but in her eyes. Her confidence was gone. She looked tired. She started with the words I expected. I am sorry. I did not rush to comfort her. I did not insult her either. I simply said, tell me the truth. Why did you rush the divorce? Why did you lie about me to everyone? She swallowed. Because Marcus made me feel important. He made me feel like I was special. He said you would always be small, and I believed him. And I was ashamed to admit I was wrong. I nodded slowly. So you chose pride over truth. Tears filled her eyes. Yes. I said the simple truth she needed to hear. Nadia, I did not laugh at your wedding because I hated you. I laughed because I recognized a liar wearing a mask. And I knew you were walking into danger. She covered her mouth and cried quietly. I did not enjoy that moment. It was not sweet. It was just sad. Before we left, I told her one last thing. The lesson is simple. When someone rushes you, hides things, and demands your loyalty while refusing honesty, that is not love. That is a trap. She nodded. We stood up and walked away in opposite directions. After everything, my life became calm again. I changed my accounts. I secured my documents. I became even more careful. I did not become bitter. I became wiser. And that is the real revenge in my story. Not hurting someone back. Not shouting online. Not destroying a person. My revenge was surviving with my name clean. My revenge was refusing to be framed. My revenge was letting the truth speak louder than noise. Because in the end, Marcus lost his freedom, Nadia lost her illusion, and I got back the one thing I almost lost. My future.